I've wanted to be a nurse since the time I was a little girl. I know that sounds corny, but I just wanted to help people.
My father's already been a patient once at Centerpoint. It's important for all of us to take care of the community.
I want to take care of, people like I want my family taken care of.
Centerpoint could be a wonderful place to work. The facility is absolutely beautiful, but there's just a lot of issues. They're out for the bottom dollar. It's a for-profit organization, and that's kind of sad, and I feel like they're asking us to sacrifice our patient safety for their bottom dollar.
It is budget-based from the administration, and from the nurse's point of view, it needs to be patient-based. It needs to be for the welfare of the patient to have the best, safest care. Nurses need to be able to be together with one voice, to be able to have strength, to say what is the problem and to talk with management about that problem.
We were able to come together as a group and more loudly and more boldly and confidently voice our opinions and our frustrations and our desires, because we had the strength of a group of people that we were a union and we were united.
Once HCA took over, right prior to the move, they were pushing us to take 5 and 6 from 4 patients. And that just convinced me that they were about quantity and not quality, and knew that we needed to have a union at the new hospital.
Originally when we first got there it was really, really rough, and that's when, as nurses, we decided to form a union. We are advocates for our patients. It's time for us to be advocates for ourselves.
Every time they bring somebody new in, they say that they have the same pat answers. Give me a chance, I can make things better. And sometimes they are better for a short time period, but they answer to somebody above them who's saying, you need to make cuts here, here, and here.
I think the nurses would be willing to cut costs in ways that were not affecting patient care. It's important for HCA to make money, otherwise we wouldn't have a business, I wouldn't have a job. I think we all understand that. But we think that money is not the only reason we should be taking care of people. I mean, it's not the bottom line, and I think with HCA it is. So I do think it's important for us to all work together to make it a productive, efficient, successful business.
In for-profit healthcare systems, oftentimes the nurses are not seen with the dignity and rights of a caregiver that they deserve. They can do that by talking to one another and finding ways to come together and unifying to create a better care situation for the people they serve.
I have the privilege of training some of the new graduate nurses, and as they transition from a graduate nurse into a registered nurse into a solid ICU nurse. And just last night I was discussing how beneficial it would be if they truly managed the finances a little better to focus on improvement for the worker there, versus having to go to an outsourced agency to bring in workers, because no one is willing to work there. At the hospital, the administration, everyone truly benefits with the presence of a union there, our union there.
That's one of the reasons I joined the union. Is I had a situation where I knew I was in the right, and I was up against my manager, my director, and the head of HR, and our president went with me. Knowing that she was there and could kind of direct me if I had problems within that meeting, I have a force behind me. I'm not just alone. And I think that's something that you lose when you don't have a union. We have won so many cases because we had that extra protection.
You get your voice. You get to say when things aren't going right, when you feel things aren't safe. That's your voice.
Set, go! Especially the new nurses talk about what's happened over the last 18 months, and even at MCI and some of the differences that were between MCI and Independence Regional. There was some definite advantages of working at MCI versus Independent Regional when it comes to staffing and schedules and stuff like that.
Right now, with our negotiations, we have been able to tentatively agree on a staffing committee, and we've also tentatively agreed on a labor management committee. Both of those committees are made up of both management and nursing. They can come together at the table, they can talk about the problem, they can make recommendations, and those recommendations then can be acted on by the CEO or administration.
I'm on the negotiating team, and for the last year we've been trying to negotiate our first contract, and there are some things that we have negotiated that will give the nurses and management a chance to get together and talk about these issues that we're, the problems that we're having.
We're working not just with our contract, but actually with the legislature for safe patient ratios, the staffing ratios. I know they have them in other parts of the country where you can't have more than X amount of patients. And hopefully, the legislature will come to an agreement that, yeah, we do need to have a limit on the number of patients that you have.
Everyone has financial concerns right now, economically speaking, nationwide. There are hospitals and other corporations that are saying, you know what, you're not going to get that 1% or that 2% that we promised you. We've got a freeze on raises right now. With our contract in place, that secures, they cannot alter that. They cannot change that, they cannot withdraw that, they can't say, sorry, which HCA has a tendency and a history of doing.
If we didn't have a union, I think administration would completely and utterly make every decision in that hospital, regardless of what we said. The raises that we got probably wouldn't be as lucrative. And to me, it's not about the money. It's about an attractive package to keep quality nurses there. And I don't know that that would have happened had we not been negotiating a contract.
I believe that if the union is decertified, that things will start to slip back to where it used to be. When you have healthcare as a corporation making money, they make those cuts, and I think that we need a voice so that we can all come together and say, hey, we cannot cut this here. And if they do start cutting those things, we will lose nurses.
I have thought a lot about, leaving and maybe going someplace else, because I don't see it going forward without the union. I see it going back.
I really fear that everything could change because, you might like the CNO, the CEO right now, but I've had 4 directors and 3 clinical managers in the last 18 months since we've been open. And who says, that really, who says we're going to have the CEO, same CNO, and this kind of protects us for in the long run. It's not just for now.
We're trying to ensure that the solid core of nurses that we have is retained. The new nurses that we do get in, trying to improve their education and their learning without scaring them away, without having, floods of people leave, either A, for better pay, B, for better working conditions. In the absence of our union, those are all likely scenarios.
I think if we lose the union, then we'll lose our voice for our patients and for ourselves. So I'm really concerned about that. I hope the nurses will go out and vote yes.
I'm frustrated with the position of the hospital and the attacks on the union. Really all the union has been is a group of nurses working together, trying to do what they think is, ask for what they think is best.
The union is the nurses. Anytime you want to get involved, you can call the office and they'd be more than willing to put you to work. If you want to be on the negotiation team, they'll put you on the negotiation team. But again, HCA isn't going to make this employer of choice or community hospital of choice, but the nurses can.
I would just tell the nurses at Centerpoint to continue. It's worth it. Work hard and keep their eye on the prize. And every member that joins and stands strong makes us stronger.
I think there's that security that's always going to be there when you have a union.
Become involved. The more involved you are, the stronger our union is and the more we can change.
I'm probably not going to be a nurse for more than 2 or 3 more years because I'm Social Security age right now. But I do look forward to nurses in the future, and I want this for the nurses in the future.
Well, my parents are members of this community, and I want what's best for this community. I want this to be the best hospital in town.
We are working on creating an incredible hospital. What we need is a legal contract with HCA. We need HCA to come alongside of us, work with us. We have voted once before. We're going to vote solidly again. This is confidence that when we walk in there, it will be a yes vote.
We are the union.
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 We are the union.